And in this tutorial I will show you that how you can enter journal voucher entries in Tally ERP 9. So journal voucher entries are like adjustment entries, like you can enter almost any kind of entry in journal vouchers using Tally ERP 9. Like you can enter credit sale and credit purchase entry. Even if you have purchased a fixed asset credit entry, then you can also enter that voucher in journal voucher entry using F7 keyboard shortcut. Let me show you. In lesson 3rd and 4th lesson I have shown you that how Tally ERP 9 apply different kind of filters on different type of vouchers. There are total 18 types of voucher in Tally ERP 9, where 10 type of vouchers are for accounting and the rest of the 8 vouchers are for inventory, that we will talk in our next lessons. But for now we will only talk about journal voucher entry. And let me remind you once again that how Tally ERP 9 filter the ledger accounts during voucher entries. For instance, if you press F4 for the contra voucher entry, and here you only press the space key to see the list of available accounts, then you can notice that in contra voucher, on both sides, in the account side and in the particular side, you will only see those ledger accounts which fall under cash in hand or bank accounts groups. And as you can see here, in the account side you can only see 2 ledger accounts, cash and Punjab National Bank. And if you go down in the particular section, and here if you press the space key, then you will only see both of these ledger. And if you want to check the group of these ledger, then you can go to accounts information, ledger display, and here I show you the cash ledger account. As you can see that it fall under cash in hand group. And if you see the Punjab National Bank, then you can see that it is falling under bank accounts. And then if you move to the payment voucher, and here if you press the space key, then again you can see that on the top side in the account section you can only see those ledger account related to cash in hand and bank account groups. And below you will see almost all the ledgers. All the remaining ledgers list will be in the particular section if you are using payment or even receipt voucher. In the receipt you will see the same entries. On the top you will see cash and bank accounts, and at bottom you will see almost all the accounts. So what is the difference between contra payment, receipt, and why we use journal entry? Why we can't use payment or receipt entries without using the journal voucher? So let me explain you that, and that is what this tutorial is all about. So we mostly made adjustment entries or credit purchase sale entries in journal voucher. So I will give you an example, and for that I am going to open a new account, accounts information, ledger, create. Let's say we open a new account for computer account under fixed assets, and rest of the detail will remain same. Save the changes. And here I am going to open 2 more accounts. Those are taxes account under duty and taxes, and I am not going to configure the tax details here. I am just going to show you that how you can enter the journal voucher. So as we have these account, and I am going to open a party account, and I will put it to sundry creditors. Bill wise detail will be no. I will explain this bill by bill method in my next tutorials. For now we will set it to no. So let's say you have purchased a computer from ABC company on credit basis. You didn't pay him, but you just brought the computer and on a bill basis, and you didn't give him any money. So how you will enter that voucher? If you go to payment for this, then you can notice that in the payment voucher you can only enter cash and bank name on the top. That means you must have to credit one of these account. But as we have the credit entry, we didn't pay anything, so we will use the journal voucher for that, F7. And journal voucher is not only used for the credit entries, but you can use it as a double voucher entry system. Now as we have purchased the computer, so we will debit the computer account, let's say 50,000. But now to the party we have paid 59,000. So here I am going to credit ABC company, but here I am going to change the amount to 59,000. Now Tally will ask you that where are the rest of the money, and here I will debit the CGST for 4500 and then SGST for 4500. So that is what you can do in journal voucher. You can credit and debit multiple accounts at once, and you can enter those entry which does not relate with cash or bank accounts. Like you can even enter credit sale and credit purchase entries in journal vouchers. So that was the just one example. Let me show you another example, and for that again I am going to open two new accounts. One will be telephone expenses and the next will be telephone expenses payable. So almost all kind of payable entries will fall under journal vouchers. So let me show you that. For instance, let's say you want to debit the telephone expenses for the month of March, but you didn't pay the expenses. You didn't pay the bill of telephone, but just you want to credit, you just want to debit that amount in your accounts book. So as no cash or bank has been credited, so how you will enter that voucher? So for that you will again use the journal voucher entry by pressing the F7 key, and here you will type telephone expenses on top, let's say 1500. In the credit side you will set telephone expenses payable credit. So if you see the balance sheet, go to the balance sheet, or let's say trial balance, display trial balance, and here you can see current liabilities, and here you can see telephone expenses payable is credited rupees 1500, and at the same time you can see that the voucher has been entered in the trial balance and it is showing telephone expenses 1500 debit amount. So that is how in the next year books what you can do, you can reverse this entry by doing the payment voucher entry. Let's say you have paid the amount of telephone expenses in the next month of April, then what you can do, you can add cash entry or bank entry, and here you will debit the telephone expenses payable for 1500, and that account will get nil. As you can see that current balance is 0 now for telephone expenses payable. So if we go back, display accounts book, ledger, and here if we open the telephone expenses payable, then you can see that this account is nil now. So I will give you one last example for journal voucher entry, and for that I will again open a new account, and that will be JJ Shirts Private Limited, debitor under sundry debtor, and again JJ Shirts Private Limited, but creditor, that will fall under sundry creditor. We have two separate accounts for this party. We also purchase from this company and we also sell to this company. So I have opened two different accounts for the same company. And for the credit, let's say take an opening balance of amounting to rupees 1000 credit, and for the debit I will alter that ledger JJ Shirts Private Limited, and I will also take an opening balance of rupees 1000 debit side. So if you see the trial balance, display trial balance, current liabilities, sundry creditor, then you can see that JJ Shirts Private Limited is right here in the current liability side for rupees 1000. And if you go to current assets sundry debtor, you can see that the same party with different name is also available in the current asset side for sundry debtor rupees 1000 debit. So what I want to do, I want to adjust both of these ledger with 1000 rupees. So what I can do, I can use the journal voucher entry F7, and here I will debit the JJ Shirts Private Limited credit account for rupees 1000, and then credit the JJ Shirts Private Limited debitor account for rupees 1000. And you can see that both of the ledger now has the current balance to 0. So that is how you can use the journal voucher entry. But before ending this tutorial, I will also like to tell you one more important thing about the journal voucher entry, and that is if you press the F12 key for the configuration while standing at the journal voucher entry, then you can notice one option here, allow cash account in journals. If you set it to yes and press Ctrl A to save all these changes, or you can press enter to accept this. And now if you see the list of the ledger accounts available in the debit and credit side of journal voucher entry, then you can also notice that you will see cash and bank ledger account name as well in the journal ledger voucher. So if you configure that option, then you can do almost all kind of entries in journal voucher alone. So that is what the journal voucher is used for, and I hope you will